Welcome back to Green is Good, and today we're so honored to have Tom Cohen on the line here. He's joining us on the line, really via satellite, via his phone line. Tom is with Greenlite USA, and he's the director of sales, and he's been there since 2001. And listen, Tom, tell us about what's going on with Greenlite USA and the whole revolution from fluorescent light bulbs to CFLs. Explain what is happening and how you were ahead of your time back in 2001 and how in 2009 you're in one of the hottest industries in America.
The light bulb business was very stagnant as far as new developments up until about 10 years ago. The same light bulb that your great-grandfather had that was made in Nela Park up in Cleveland was the exact technology that was in place, around the turn of the century. It hadn't changed. Then about, probably in the late 80s, they began development of what's called compact fluorescent light bulbs, which is a electronic light bulb, and the first versions worked, but the color rendition, you would turn it on, and the public could really tell that it was a fluorescent. It didn't have a very pleasing, effect in your home.
Right.
Now, with breakthroughs, and we keep making the product better and better. The electronic light bulbs that are called compact fluorescent light bulbs, now you couldn't tell the difference in a million years. It looks identical to what you've been using forever.
So the quality is now similar to the light bulbs that we've all grown up with and all have used. But now make the case. Tell us why our listeners should use a CFL instead of an old light bulb, because what is the energy savings and what other benefits do they have by doing it?
Well, there's a lot of benefits. Energy saving being, at the forefront. One compact fluorescent bulb will save 75 to 80% of the energy that's used for a regular light bulb. So a typical light bulb, the most popular wattages in America, are 60, 75, and 100 watt. So 60 watt is fully replaced. Same lumen, same light output by 13 watts. So if people change and lighting makes up about 30% of your electric bill, you can see very, very significant savings. One light bulb, and they last about 10 years, will save about $100 over the life of the light bulb.
Mike, this is everything you've been talking about.
Well, it really is funny, guys, because as the CFLs became available in just about every place, and I noticed that the prices really come down, too. What's really cool is that every light bulb that I've replaced in our house with a CFL, I think it goes back a couple of them, or at least a couple of years old. I haven't had to change a light bulb in so long I can't remember.
No, there's just no question. Literally, the ones that are being manufactured today, we rate them 10,000, 12,500 hours. And literally, unless you're burning a light bulb in a certain area where it's on all the time, literally, when you change to CFL in most applications, you'll never, ever have to change it.
Wow. Hey, then so what else? What other benefits do our listeners have if they change over their light bulbs to your light bulbs? So they have a cost savings, there's energy savings, it's less work, you have to change the light less. What else is going on that we don't know about? This is your business. Tell us what else that our listeners should know.
The amount of emissions that are put out to run incandescent light bulbs in this country is really staggering. The major power companies around the country have gotten behind compact fluorescence, and the reason is that any person can make a change immediately. So the power companies around the country fund programs to get people to change to compact fluorescence. And what they found is you'll hear sometimes on the radio or in print, and you'll hear people say, advertisements that'll say, come in and change your refrigerator to Energy Star, or come in and change your windows to Energy Star. But the truth of the matter is, unless you're remodeling your house, you're not changing your windows. And unless your refrigerator is broken, you're not changing that. So, no matter how much the rebates are from the companies or how good a deal it is, nobody does it. But when you have a compact fluorescent light bulb and the power companies off through a retailer offer them at a very, very reduced price, people will change, and they'll sometimes change all of them in their house. And an example of how much energy savings there has been, the power companies in Northern California have documented that they have not had to build 2 coal-fired power plants.
Wow.
Just because of compact fluorescent light bulbs.
So if we heard you correct, because Californians have chosen to use CFLs, just a simple thing like a light bulb,
right.
There have been enough people making a small change in a big enough area that we have not had to build 2 new plants.
Just in Northern California.
Wow.
And
that is awesome.
And there was an article, I don't know, maybe a year ago in the Wall Street Journal about it. And I'm sure, I don't know the documentation, but I'm sure Edison is the same thing, San Diego Gas Electric.
So we're going to, Tom, we're going to talk a lot of things with you. Tell us real quickly before we go to commercial, what is Energy Star? Tell us what it means, because Mike and I don't know. We want to know, and our listeners want to know.
Energy Star is a trademark, and it's synonymous like with a good housekeeping.
Gotcha.
But it's our Department of Energy, our EPA organization that qualifies products to meet certain standards. And when you see an Energy Star logo on a product, it's not something that a manufacturer is telling you these claims, just mumbo jumbo. It's our EPA that has truly tested the product. They stand behind it, and you meet these high standards.
So Greenlight USA light bulbs, CFL light bulbs, are Energy Star light bulbs.
All models we carry. We don't carry any products that don't surpass Energy Star standards.
Tom, we're going to get back to a lot more issues with you after we come back from this break. Thanks for being with us today. Everybody, come on back to Green is Good.
If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Hey, welcome back to Green is Good, and thanks for joining Mike and myself today. We are so lucky to have Tom Cohen on the line from Greenlight USA, and you can look up his company at greenlightUSA.com anytime you want. Tom is one of the premier experts, besides being the national sales director for Greenlight USA. He's one of the premier experts on the light bulb industry. And Tom, tell us now, we talked a little bit about what's going on and what the benefits are, but now with the Obama administration being in there, is America just going gaga for green, and is the government going to mandate us to change, to not use fluorescents anymore and use your kind of CFL products?
There are a lot of technologies that'll save energy. The Obama administration, has made a mandate to bring it to the forefront. But does that mean that the public will do it anytime soon? It would be great if, everybody has solar, on their home.
Right.
But the cost is still, prohibitive for most people. And, so some of these things, may still be 20, 30 years out. But, if we don't start working on them today, then 20 years never comes.
Well, it's really funny, too, because you mentioned the cost. And, solar, what a great idea. But for a lot of people, most folks, let's tell the truth, that's a pretty expensive proposition. Now, there are some creative ways of financing that people are starting to get to. But seriously, when you break it all down, everybody has light bulbs in their house.
Right.
And everybody changes light. Yeah.
Or
their business.
Yeah.
Or their business.
And changing a light bulb, because, as you have mentioned, too, because of some of the subsidies that the various power companies have done to make the CFL so affordable, that is one thing. And I am still blown away by what you said before the break about in Northern California, just people switching to CFLs. There were enough people that did that saved enough energy that there were 2 power plants that didn't have to be built.
That's right. And you can, any of your listeners can go on to EnergyStar.gov,
Okay.
which is the website for Energy Star.
Great.
And they have all types of statistics of, how many, switching to compact fluorescent, is equal to removing, a zillion cars from the road. It's really some staggering stuff. It's very interesting.
But, I mean, if your light bulbs last 10 times longer than a typical old light bulb,
right,
all of our listeners across America, I mean, Tom, tell us what the catch is. What's the downside to buying your CFL products? And for all the people of this country in business or at their home to change their light bulbs.
There's no downside. There's a compact fluorescent now for every single application. So it started out that a compact fluorescent, if you've ever seen them, they were a spiral type design. Which is the norm. And the reason they're designed as a spiral as opposed to a different configuration is because it has more exposed tubing, and that allows more light to escape. So that's the reason you see the spiral design.
Okay.
That makes sense.
But now, like let's say, for instance, you have a bath bar in your house that uses the round globe.
Right, okay.
So, and a lot of people do. Now there's a compact fluorescent that looks just like that. And instead of using 60 watts, it uses 9 watts.
I'm going to get some this weekend. I swear. I didn't know that they existed yet.
They exist. And recess fixtures. Let's just say you have a newer home where you have 30 can lights throughout your home. You can now, instead of using a 65 BR30, which is the bulb that a builder would put in, that's a 80-cent light bulb, the biggest energy pig in America. Instead of putting that in, you can now put in a 15-watt compact fluorescent and change your can lights.
Wow.
That is so. Okay, so Tom, tell us a little bit. Brag a little bit. Why is Greenlight USA? Why you're such an expert in the industry, and you joined them in 2001? Why Greenlight USA products, and why are you with them as opposed to your other competitors? What's going on? Why are you guys better?
Greenlight has a big advantage over most other companies. Most other light bulb companies have compact fluorescents in addition to their incandescent line. Because incandescence, no matter how you cut it, still makes up 80 to 85% of the bulbs that are sold right now in America. So it's in the self-interest of companies that make incandescents to continue to make incandescents. They make profit on it. It's why would you change a model that's been true for years and years and years? So Greenlight, our only business, is energy efficiency. So all of our efforts, all of our R&D, all of our marketing efforts only go after energy-saving products. So it's a big advantage for us.
Gotcha. And tell us, this sounds so amazing just for the regular consumer out there, but tell us, Mike and I love giving also nuggets of great information, of green information to businesses so they could save money, but also become more green. Tell us about some of your better, bigger brand names that all of our listeners would know about, such as Disney and Microsoft, and what you're doing with them to green their companies.
We partner with big businesses all over the country, and it's not to typically retrofit their offices. There are ways of doing that. Typically, an office uses a different product than a compact fluorescent. Compact fluorescent is more of a consumer product that you would use in your home.
Gotcha.
We partner, like this past year, we partnered with Microsoft, and what we did there is we put a program together with the Seattle Power Companies on their Bellevue, Washington campus, and made products available for $1 for a 4-pack of compact fluorescent light bulbs, and I think it was 50 or 60,000 4-packs were distributed in one afternoon.
So you really are interested in education and also helping people learn how to change their old behavioral patterns.
That's right. And, people, what happened is, people are used to what they're used to.
Right.
They want a bulb that looks like a light bulb. And Greenlight's newest product, in fact, was just registered Energy Star a few weeks ago, and it takes a few years to get new products up and tested. We have a product that looks identical to a household light bulb. It has the same cover, same exact shape, and for 14 watts, it replaces a 60 watt, and you couldn't tell the difference physically if you looked square on it.
Tom, the new bulb that looks like the old bulb, if you will, do you make those, or are there plans to make those in the three-way configurations?
The three-way is a little different. The two toughest technologies with compact fluorescence are three-ways. Just the technological makeup of that, you have to use a little bigger tubing.
Okay.
And dimmable. We make dimmable products, but they're not as smooth as an incandescent dimming product. It is that's the toughest technology to change.
Okay, so it's more like getting the calibration between the rheostat on the wall to actually take it down gradually.
It's exactly right.
Okay.
And the more consumer is educated, you can, with dimming compact fluorescence, you just like you said, you turn it all the way up, and then you dim it down slowly, and then it's perfect. But people get in a hurry and rip it back and forth, and it just doesn't operate like that.
Gotcha. Hey, Tom, tell us about Mercury a little bit. People say there's Mercury in CFLs. Mike and I really want our listeners to get educated to this issue. Is there really Mercury in CFLs, or is that a myth? And if there is, how do then, when you're done using your CFL, how do you then dispose of it appropriately?
Okay. It's not a myth.
Okay.
For compact fluorescent light bulbs to do their thing, there has to be a trace amount of mercury.
Okay.
The Energy Star has come up with a standard amount that it can't exceed. It's 5 milligrams. These probably wouldn't make, you have to be an engineer to know this. Greenlight has voluntarily brought their mercury down to approximately 1.8%. So we've reduced it by 60% voluntarily. Now, the amount of mercury in a compact fluorescent light bulb is similar to like a can of tuna fish. So it's a buzzword. And especially companies that are going to be impacted by the sale of compact fluorescents, i.e., incandescent light bulb makers, try and throw that out because it's truly the only negative.
I gotcha.
But the amount of pollutants that are not put into the air and water and greenhouse emissions, what have you,
right?
It's just there's no comparison.
Gotcha. So you're saying on a cost-benefit analysis, the trace amount of mercury in CFL bulbs is so small it does not even put a dent in all the benefits that using CFL that you discussed earlier.
That's exactly right.
Got it.
Well, I don't think if it's equivalent to or less than the amount of mercury you'd find in a can of tuna. I mean, I've known about that for a long time, and I haven't quit eating tuna. So
right, and like in your home, there's in a watch battery, there's 20 times more mercury than in a compact fluorescent in a thermostat on the wall. And once again, if your listeners want to know more about it, there's several papers on EnergyStar.gov that they can find very interesting and put them at ease.
That's great. Now tell us, we've been talking about light bulbs all this time. Take out the crystal ball now and tell us about the future. What's the future of Greenlight USA and what you're working on, Tom, and also the future of lighting in America and beyond lighting, solar and other things? What do you see the future look like? We
see, as far as generating power, in my opinion, solar is the most exciting form of generating energy. Our parent organization actually is a solar wafer manufacturer, and this is an industry that we will be gravitating into as far as modules in the next few years. So solar is certainly the most exciting power generating. I mean, we especially here in California, Arizona, Nevada, maybe not today, but most days we're going to have plenty of sun.
And then with regards to the CFLs, how many times in the next 3 or 4 years, how many times bigger can your company become?
Well, I mean, those are type things that we never like to talk about.
Okay.
We will say that there's certainly growth possibilities. Around the country, there's still areas where compact fluorescents only make up 1 or 2% of market share. And, the reason for that is their power companies, are not mandated or aren't forward-thinking to offer incentives to customers.
Tom, where can our listeners find your great Greenlight USA products? I want them to be able to, after listening to your great thoughts on CFLs, I want them to be able to find it now. Where can they go?
Greenlight participates with all the major retailers in the United States. Sometimes that depends on what power companies are promoting the product.
Right.
Although around the country, if there's one particular retailer that any of your listeners, regardless if they're in Florida or here in California, they can always find Greenlight at Kroger, which is the largest grocery store chain in the United States. And here in California, Kroger goes under the banner Ralph's or Food for Less.
Oh, that's perfect. And for all of our listeners to learn more about Tom's great company, Greenlight USA, go to greenlightUSA.com, or to learn more about the CFL industry and what's going on, go to EnergyStar.gov. And just remember, you can change your light bulb, change your life, save some money, and save our environment. And because people like Tom Cohen exist and his great company, it just proves again that green is good.